Fish Yum is the third episode of the 7th season of 2.5 Men. This is directed by James Widdoes, and as always, there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode and share some thoughts. It's a good episode with some really good moments. I'm so glad I have a terrible memory because while I'd seen this multiple times, I'd forgotten what happened with one part of the narrative. And I didn't see it coming, and I rather enjoyed it. But I'll talk about that when we get there. I will go through the narrative chronologically and share some thoughts. So there'll be spoilers from now. And it starts off with Judith dropping Jake off. And Judith and Harper are actually going away for the weekend. And Jake's upset because Judith won't let him drive, even though he has his permit now. We'll come back to that in a little bit. And Judith is going away without Millie. She and Harper are going away for a relaxing weekend. So her mother is looking after the baby. And Alan tries to prod her a bit to get her to maybe admit that maybe Millie's his daughter and she's not interested in this conversation. And she also reveals that she gave her mother Alan's number in case of an emergency. And very quickly into the episode, Alan needs to go and help Lenore. She phones Alan, she's having problems. He goes over there and Millie's absolutely fine, but Lenore's behaviour is, well, initially it's not too bad, but as the episode progresses, it does get worse. Alan is holding Millie and he's singing to her, which is kind of heartbreaking because if that is his daughter and he's missing out on this bonding time, it's really heartbreaking to see. And then Lenore ends up talking to Alan about her body parts and she licks his hand, and that's kind of the turning point for Alan's experience of looking after Millie and I guess kind of looking after Lenore as well. The second part of the narrative, the second part of the plot kicks in when Charlie and Jake are about to go out. Charlie will not let Jake drive and Charlie backs the car out and all we hear is this horrendous meow. And I have to say it makes me feel sick because he's clearly driven over the cat and Chelsea is going to be devastated when she finds out Sir Lancelot's being squished. But Charlie doesn't want to tell Chelsea. He doesn't want her to find out. So they're going to pretend that the cat ran away. But Jake takes a photo of Charlie at the crime scene to make sure that he gets to drive whenever he wants. So he's going to blackmail Charlie, which I don't agree with. But it makes sense with Charlie and Jake's relationship. And we'll come back to them in a little bit. We're then back with Alan and Lenore. And the song choice is interesting because he's singing Hush Little Baby and he sings the lines, hush little baby, don't say a word, daddy's gonna buy you a mockingbird. I think they definitely chose that intentionally. They were deliberate with a song that has daddy in it and it's beautiful but also really heartbreaking and it's lovely to see but it's also difficult. We're then back at the house and we find out that Charlie with a shovel has buried the cat. And Chelsea comes home and they lie. And Jake lies as well. Obviously, he wants to make things go his way so he can keep driving and keep blackmailing Charlie, or start driving and blackmailing Charlie. And then we see Alan taking Lenore to rehab. He's phoning Judith, reassuring her that everything's fine. He's come to the rescue. He's got Millie. And what I like about this is that Alan, in this moment, isn't really painting himself as a hero. He absolutely could be. He swooped in. He took care of Millie when she needed him. Really, he could have reinforced the fact that, hey, look, maybe I'm her father. I'm a good parent. I'm there when she needs me. Not that I'm saying Herb and Judith aren't there. They're entitled to a break. But he really could have played this to his advantage. But he didn't. And I think that was because he didn't want to upset Judith too much with her mother having some problems and needing to go to Ihabre, as he put it. So I think Alan took a really great position here. And it's really admirable and really great to see. And then we're back at the house and we're at the end of the episode. And I think going back and forth between Charlie and Jake and Alan, I think the pacing was great, the editing was great, the episode flows really, really well. And they're in the house and in walks Chelsea with Sir Lancelot. Is this the first time we've actually seen the cat? I think it might be. I could be wrong. But I think it might be the first time we've seen the cat in person or in cat. And this is the bit that I forgot about. I had no idea that happened. I genuinely believed for the episode they've killed Sir Lancelot. The question is, whose cat did they kill? There's a knock at the door. And I love how this played out. There's a knock at the door and there's a guy there who's very tall. He basically fills the doorway. And this is a guy called Lou, played by David Mattey. And he says he's looking for his cat. And initially it seems quite intimidating. but then he becomes really softened and he just wants his cat and he's missing the cat, and it's very believable. I think somebody can look really hard and rough on the outside. There was definitely an intimidation there. They definitely chose somebody who was quite tall to play this character, but then we see that actually pets make us all just crumble if we can't find them. And it was a really good decision and I really liked it, but also heartbreaking because we, the viewer, know what happened to the cat. Well, we can assume that it was his cat. It would be a bit of a coincidence if somebody else, a third person, had lost a black and white cat. So heartbreaking, but there was also plenty of comedy in there as well. And it's a good episode. I can't really fault it. I didn't like the sound of the cat meow, but it was very, very effective. I did love the reveal of Sir Lancelot, and I thought Alan was really great here. So no complaints at all. I thought that this was a great episode of Two and a Half Men. Fish Yum is always going to be a one that I'll enjoy, and I'm glad I have a terrible memory because, as I said, I'd forgotten what happened with this, really enjoyed the reveal, and ultimately really enjoyed the episode as well.